Hey guys, back up in North Queensland on a beautiful Saturday afternoon. It's about 4 o'clock in the arvo. Weather's absolutely glorious, so got to make the most of it. I'm going to get out and do a cook up on the Ozpig. The weather's starting to cool down at night now, and it's getting nice weather to sit around the little campfire out in the backyard. But tonight I thought I'll drag the Ozpig out of the shed. He hasn't been used since last year, and he's starting to get a bit of rust on him, so I thought I'll get some fire cranked up and cook up a good feed on it. Hey, this recipe, guys, goes back a lot of years to it was given to me by a good army mate of mine. His name was Dave Sly, and I've lost contact with Dave over the years, and we were posted in the army together over in Perth for 4 years. Went on a great rugby trip over to England, representing the one of the Australian Army units, and knocked over the Poms and the Royal Marines and that over there playing rugby back in 1999, and he was a good player, Dave, and he gave me this recipe. We got transferred up to New Guinea together. I was a defence advisor up there, and Dave went up in a logistical role, and we were bloody good mates, and we lived in the same area there in Port Moresby, and we always used to have cook-ups and that just to try and make the time go by. Wasn't a lot to do up there at night time, so anyway, Dave and his wife at the time gave me this recipe, and it's called Tarragon chicken, and I've done it a few times, and then I forgot all about it, and I was thinking, what can I do on the Ozpig for a cook-up? And then I thought, oh, that Tarragon chicken. And for the life of me, I couldn't find the recipe, so I had to dig into the memory bank and try and remember what went in it, and I think I've got it. I might have left something out, but I reckon this will work. And last I heard of Dave, he's still up in New Guinea 15 years later. He married a bloody lovely PNG girl up there, and he was living in Lae, up in the northern part of Papua New Guinea, and ran into him at Cairns shopping centre one day a couple of years ago, and haven't seen him since, and he's off Facebook, so I've lost track of him. But anyway, hopefully he's watching this and he'll get a bit of a laugh out of it. Hey, before I go any further, check the pineapple out. That's got nothing to do with the recipe tonight, guys. I just pulled that, put a top of a pineapple, just put it in the planter tub, oh, I don't know, 18 months ago or so. He just ripped that off, put it in some dirt, and there you go, there's my first pineapple, and that's how they grow. That's a bloody big pineapple, it's a beauty, so I've got to let him ripen up a bit. And I thought, I went and picked a bag of limes the other day off my tree, and a big Woolies bag full of limes, and I thought, righto, here's the challenge for my next cook-up. I've got to do a recipe with pineapple and lime in it. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll have to get on Google and find a recipe that I reckon I can do up on the fire pit or in the Ozpig, involving lime and pineapple. Now, hey, if you know something off the top of your head, bloody get in the comments there, let me know, and I might bloody knock it up next cooking clip, when the old pineapple goes right. So, righto, Tarragon chicken, what do we need for that? Well, I was slack again today, guys. I went to Woolies shopping this morning, didn't go to the butcher again because chicken's the only meat I needed, and it's just handy to get everything in one hit, isn't it? So I've got some free range chicken breasts here, which I'm gonna cut up into tenderloins for this recipe. So I've got 2 packets of, so about a kilo of chicken breasts. Free range. I'm getting a bit fancy in me old age, and I don't know, trying to do the right thing, guys. I'm cutting down on my meat consumption now, and I still need to have some sort of meat, so I eat a lot of tin tuna now and bloody chicken. I'm cutting down on the red meat for health reasons, but anyway, there you go, some free range chicken breasts, which I've had in the angle fridge in the shed there. I'll put them back in a minute. And the next thing we need, got a big tub of sliced mushrooms. I'm using the large one because there was a lot of mushrooms in it from memory. 600 mils of cream. Don't know if I'll use all the cream. Some salt and pepper to season the chicken up. And here's the magic ingredient, guys, Tarragon. If you've never used it, it's got a bloody beautiful flavour. And we always I remember Dave always just used the dry tarragon leaves, the master foods there, and use them. But I was in the aisle there this morning, I saw fresh tarragon, so I'm going to chop some tarragon leaves up, and I'm going to use some fresh tarragon in there too. You probably see it in the herb section of Woolies and that. And the other thing we need is the bloody Stuka dive bombers going over up there. They always turn up, the old Stukas, when I'm filming. And I went into the bottle shop outside Woolies and I said, mate, I need a dry white wine. I'm I'm cooking a chicken dish. Anyway, he gave me this Eagle Hawk Sauvignon Blanc, whatever that means. Sounds French to me. Don't know if it's a dry white wine, but that's the one I'm going to use. And whatever I don't use, me and Roz will drink. So we'll get into that. It was about $8.99 for that bottle. Anything over $10 for a bottle of wine's getting too fancy for me and Roz, guys. We always try and target something under $10. That's how we are up here in North Queensland. But we're not too fancy up here. But anyway, there's the ingredients for Tarragon chicken. I'll show you. I'm going to cook it up in the Baduri camp oven. Going to do it with some rice because it's kind of a nice creamy sauce. And I tell you what, I'm getting excited already. We're going to do some rice up in the small cast iron camp oven there on the Ozpig, and then we'll do the Tarragon chicken up in the Baduri, my new Baduri camp oven. It'll be the second time I've done a cook up in that, and good excuse to have a couple of great northerns while I'm doing it. But anyway, enough of that. Need a good sharp knife too, guys. Tell you what, I'm impressed with the Snow Peak bloody knife in the chopping board there. I've been using that for all my cook-ups from now on. It's a bloody beautiful knife. And anyway, let's get in and fire the Ozpig up, eh? Get into him, Rafa. What are you barking at? He's up someone out the backyard again. Righto, let's fire the Ozpig up. Righto, guys, here we go. I'm going to crank the Ozpig up. As I said, she's been sitting in the shed, starting to get a little bit of rust on it. So if anyone asks you if Ozpigs rust, yeah, they do. Even though it's been sitting in the shed. Got some good kindling in there, a couple of bits of wood, couple of army hexies. Let's crank her up, eh? Can't beat these flamethrowers, guys, the old butane flamethrowers. Geez, they're good, eh? There we go. Get those hexi tablets started up. And so I don't get too much heat today, I'm a bit worried about having too much heat, but I'm going to use the diffuser on the Ozpig. I think I might need that just so I don't burn the arse out of it, because those Baduri camp ovens are a little bit, they're thinner, they're not as thick as the cast iron, and I think they'll heat up a lot more on the Ozpig, so I'm going to get the diffuser ready. And anyway, we'll let the Ozpig burn in. Remember, guys, when you're going to cook over a fire and that, bloody start it nice and early and burn it in and get all your coals going, and, you know, probably won't start cooking for another hour yet. Righto, that's taken now. Time for a great northern, eh? Hey guys, while we're waiting for the Ozpig to burn in, I thought I'd tell you a bit of a funny story. I joined the army in 1982. I was only 17 years old, and I went into the army and went through basic training for 3 months at Kapooka. It was pretty hard yakka for a young fellow who's bloody lived with mum and dad, and one night you're with mum and dad and the next night you're getting screamed at and bloody threatened and all that type of stuff, like the good old early 80s was. And anyway, I didn't realise, but when I went into the army, I was colourblind. I couldn't tell those little coloured charts and that, and the numbers, all those bloody dots and that on the charts, and they deemed me colourblind. And when you're in the army, there's only 4 corps you could go to back then. It was catering, ordnance, which is logistics and that, signals corps, and medical, to be a medic. And anyway, towards the end of the 3 months training, they come out in the hallway, and they tell, back then we didn't know what corps you were going to. You join the army these days, you know what job you're going into, whereas we went through basic training and they just told us what we were going to do, and we're all lined up in the hallway, and they come out and it's bloody so-and-so, infantry, 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 and I couldn't get infantry. I knew I couldn't go to infantry because I was colourblind, so I asked to be, I was thinking what I thought smartly back then. I thought, I can only choose from 4 corps. I'll go to catering corps and become a cook, and that way when I get out of the army I've got a good trade to fall back on. And I still reckon that was good thinking back then. Anyway, I'm all excited, and I got through to the end. All we had was the march out parade, and we're out of Kapooka, and they came out and they got to my name, and I'm waiting for catering corps to be called out, and they went, Rogers, signals corps. And I just thought, signals corps, how'd I end up with that? Anyway, they said, anyone's got some dramas or problems with where you've been sent, what corps you've been allocated, come down and see us. So I marched down the hallway to the section commander's office. There's 3 angry corporals sitting in this office, and I knocked on the door and they said, what? And I said, excuse me, corporal, I was just wondering why I didn't get allocated catering corps. And the exact words, less the F words, was, Rogers, you're an effing grub and no one wants effing pigs cooking for them. Now, F off. That was the exact words. I turned around, did an about turn, marched back down to me room, down the hallway, and about a week later I was on the bus to Watsonia in Melbourne, the bloody School of Signals, and Signals Corps got a lot of different jobs, radio operators and lineies and bloody all that type of stuff. So I ended up doing 20 years with signals units, guys. So there you go. I didn't quite become a cook in the army. Maybe that's why I like cooking now. I always had I didn't mind cooking and that, but it didn't quite work out for me in the army. So there you go. Apparently I was a pig in the army through basic training, and they reckon I wasn't suited to catering corps. Well, there you go. I'm having the last laugh now, aren't I? Hey, just another quick yarn, guys, while we're waiting for the Ozpig to burn in. Bloody, only about 3 weeks to go now to the New South Wales Drifter camp up down at Gloucester in New South Wales. Getting bloody excited and starting to get me preps and everything done. And still deciding whether to throw the Ozpig in. I bloody threw the challenge out the other night on Facebook on the Drifter fans page, and I said, righto, thinking of having a state of origin camp cook up down there. All the Queenslanders and the New South Welshmen, and Ronnie Dale's coming over from West Aussie, and he's bringing his own bloody chef over. Forget his name now. I don't actually follow him on Facebook. I'm going to have to start on YouTube, sorry. He's Harry or something his name is, and he's a bit of an expert at outdoor cooking and that. And I put the challenge out and didn't realise that Ronnie's bringing his own bloody master chef over, a bloke called Harry. And Harry cooking outdoors or something, I think his thing is. But I've put the challenge out. I reckon the Queenslanders can take it out. Roz and I are doing up a coconut curry chicken, and I thought it's bloody... I was cooking up the other day on the Snow Peak fire pit, which was fine, but I think for actual cooking, I think the Ozpig is actually a better option for actually if you're cooking. And it's just a little bit bulky. It folds down and goes into a big bag, but I might throw the Ozpig in for the Drifter camp up down there in 3 weeks' time, and you know, worst case scenario, we'll do a cook up on it and we can sit around it and try and keep warm too. So, but the other exciting news, guys, if you don't know, if you're from Queensland or somewhere and you think the Drifter camp up down in New South Wales is a bit too far, which it is for a lot of people, Tofty's announced the 3rd, 4th and 5th of August, guys. There's another Drifter camp up for the Drifter Fair for anyone. If you follow Drifter on YouTube or Facebook, they're having a camp up at Kenilworth, a place called Kenilworth, and I forget the name of the place now. I knew I'd forget the name of it, but absolutely beautiful place from what I've seen. Absolutely perfect campsite at a place called Kenilworth, which I think's northwest of Brisbane, probably in the Sunshine Coast hinterland there, and it looks absolutely amazing. So the 3rd, 4th and 5th, the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And it looks like I've got the time off work to get down to that one too, which is going to be great. Roz won't be able to make this one, but I'm thinking of bringing my grandkids down if I can, and hopefully my brother can come up from Brizzy and get to catch up with my brother on this one. So put that in your diaries, guys. 3rd, 4th and 5th of August, the Drifter camp up at Kenilworth, which is just north of Brisbane, probably, I don't know, maybe an hour and a half outside Brizzy. Haven't been down there, but it looks bloody beautiful. So anyway, hope to see you there at that one, eh? If you can't get to the New South Wales one, we'll see you at the Queensland one, eh? Guys, we're underway. I'm going to do the rice first in the small cast iron camp oven. I've got 2 cups of rice in there. Roz likes mixing brown and white rice together. I'll tell you what, we only had 2 cups left too. I'm glad I should have checked that this morning before I went shopping. Old mate of mine, Vic Clark, he's dead now. He was a chef, and he always said, always put a knob of butter in your rice. So what I'll do now, while the flames are still fairly big, guys, is I'll bring that water to the boil, and then I'll put the diffuser on, and then I'll put the lid on, and then just simmer the rice and let the rice absorb all that, steam the rice up. And the good thing about the Ozpig, guys, even though I'm cooking nice and early, is you can sit the camp oven off to the side on the holding plates here, the warming plates, and they keep nice and warm from the outside of the Ozpig. So I'll get the rice done nice and early and then just sit that off to the side. So bring that to the boil, lid on, I'll put the diffuser on and then just simmer it, and I reckon in about half an hour we'll have some nice fluffy rice, and then we'll be right to get stuck into the Tarragon chicken, eh? Righto. Hey guys, rice is done. Bloody good time, and actually Tofty just gave me a ring, and just as the rice was finishing, so had a good chat with Tofty from Drifter about the camp up in a couple of weeks. Here we go. Good splash olive oil in there. Now the thing I've got to be careful of with the Baduri camp oven, guys, they're not as thick on the bottom as the big cast iron ones, so it'll be easier to burn the arse out of stuff. So something you've got to be aware of when you're cooking with these Baduri camp ovens, eh? So here we go. I've cut me free range chicken breasts into bloody tenderloins. Managed to slice me finger with a Snow Peak knife. I can vouch that they're sharp, guys. Wasn't concentrating. Whooshka. Claret everywhere. But anyway, here we go. Chicken tenderloins are in. And I remember one thing Dave always told me when he was doing his Tarragon chicken. He said you've always got to... there's 3 stages there. There's a stage where you add the wine. There's a stage where you add the cream and that. And he always threw Tarragon in at each stage. So we'll just let that come back up to the heat. While I'm doing that, I'm going to throw some Tarragon, dried Tarragon in. Tarragon leaves, guys, Master Foods. And from memory, Dave used heaps of Tarragon. He said you can't use too much. It's got a beautiful flavour. So it's not like salt where you can overpower it. Just give a real good sprinkle in there. And I'll tell you what I might have to do in a minute is take that diffuser off and get some heat into that pan. It's not quite... That cold chicken's just taking the heat out of the pan, but it'll come up again. I might take the diffuser off, eh? But anyway, I'll get that chicken up. I'm going to sizzle that chicken a bit, brown it, and then I'm going to throw the mushrooms in. Rightio guys, I probably didn't have the heat high enough. I was a bit too bloody conservative with the heat on the Ozpig. So anyway, I've thrown a bit more kindling on there to crank it up. That chicken's not quite cooked through now, but almost. So what I'll do now at this stage is I'm going to throw the mushrooms in, the whole packet, guys. In they go. Get in there. I'm going to stir the mushrooms in with the chicken now. I'll let them cook through and reduce a bit. They'll let a lot of moisture out too, guys, those mushrooms. So this is where you can probably crank the heat up a bit. And some more Tarragon. I've taken the lid off this time to get a bit more in. Sprinkle another good sprinkle of Tarragon in. So you don't want to be too skimpy on the Tarragon, guys. It's Tarragon chicken, so you want to get that flavour in there. Righto. Let that cook up a bit now, and then... Oh, I tell you what, I've nearly forgot, guys. I'll just grab it. How's that for preparation? Some salt. And I'll throw some pepper in when I get the lid off. There we go, that's better. As I said, not real good preparation, but anyway, good bloody crack of black pepper in there too. Always season your meat, eh? Doesn't matter what kind of meat it is, guys, give it a good season. And anyway, that's good. I've got some good heat in there now. I'll keep stirring that chicken and mushroom, Tarragon flakes, salt and pepper. Let that reduce down a bit, let them mushrooms cook, and we'll throw some white wine in, eh? Okie doke, got some good heat in that fire now, guys. The mushrooms have cooked down. Chicken would probably be cooked through too now, but you see a lot of liquid in there. The mushrooms let out a lot of, I suppose a lot of them are water, aren't they? Alright, next ingredient, the old white wine, guys. Eagle Hawk Sauvignon Blanc. Here we go. How much? I don't know. We'll throw a bit in. What do you reckon? We'll put a bit in there. I've got a fair bit of rice here, guys, so I want some good sauce. I don't know. What's that, about one of those cups worth of wine, one of those there, and I reckon I might have one myself. What do you reckon? Put that there, I'll give that a thing. We'll bring that up to the simmer now, and as I said, each stage I want to throw some more tarragon in, so I'll sprinkle a little bit more tarragon in. About that much there. Another good sprinkle of tarragon. Let that come to the simmer, that white wine. Burn the alcohol off, obviously, guys. So the kids can eat this. It's not like it's going to be alcoholic. The alcohol will burn off. So we just let that all reduce down now. And the next step's going to be throwing the cream in, and that'll make the nice creamy sauce, eh? Cream and wine actually go good together as a sauce. Righto, let's get that to the simmer. Righto guys, here we go. I've just let that wine simmer down, get all the alcohol out of that wine. There's still a bit of sauce in there. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to add some cream in. Now I don't know, I've got a 600ml cream here, but I won't need all of that. I'll just put in half for now and we'll see how that looks. This is what makes the sauce now, guys, the cream. Nice creamy sauce. Oh, I don't know, I reckon I'm going to hoik it all in, guys. 600ml, how about that? Whole 600ml of cream. Rafa said, I'll lick that bowl there, Dad. Yeah, that's looking better. You want it nice and creamy looking, because it is a creamy dish. And that wine and cream will mix together now with the tarragon and should create some really nice flavours, guys. We'll bring that to the simmer. I'll tell you what else I'm going to do is I've cut up some of that fresh tarragon, the fresh stuff that I got from Woolies today, and I'm going to hoik that in. So not only the dried tarragon, but also the fresh stuff. I'll put a little bit more dried stuff in too. So Dave said you can't use too much. You really want that tarragon flavour. That's the hero of the dish, as they call it. Alright, let's mix that through now. What I might do now, guys, is throw the lid on the Baduri camp oven and just let that simmer away and let all that tarragon, oh geez, that's looking good now, lots of tarragon through it. And you want a fair bit of sauce, guys, because we have got rice and the rice will soak it up. So don't skimp on the sauce and the wine and the cream. So I've used a whole 600ml cream in that. Righto, lid on, let's that simmer that away for a while, eh? Righto guys, I think I'm done. Still half an hour till Roz gets home, but I'm going to run out of light and I want to dish up. I'm sick, every time I do one of these I run out of light, so I thought I'll dish up now, show you the end result. I'll just put it in a bowl rather than doing a fancy thing. So I'll do the rice here, and it's nice and fluffy. I'll tell you what, I've nailed the rice, guys. Look how fluffy that is. Look at that, bloody beauty. It's come up really good the way I did that in the camp oven. Righto, let's get the lid off the Baduri camp oven here. Give him a stir. It's looking alright. I hope you can see that. I hope that works out alright. Righto, here we go. Some chicken and mushroom and that over the top. Some sauce. I had a little sneak taste before, guys. It's not too bad. I had to put a little bit more salt in. But there you go, look at that. Some zura or sauce over the rice. The rice will soak that up. Get some more mushrooms, and there you go. Look at that. Tarragon chicken and rice. Now, you can always do that with champignon, like the canned mushrooms, if you're out camping. And you can always cook rice out camping, guys. Cry back your chicken. You know, just some dry tarragon in the thing, and there you go. That's a good camp food, eh? The kids will love it, and you can cook enough to feed a bloody family there. There'll be enough for leftovers there for Roz and I tomorrow. So there you go, guys. Tarragon chicken and mushroom on the Ozpig. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll put that aside. I'll serve one up for Roz, and when she gets home we'll have a glass of that wine and we'll hook into it, eh? Righto, catch you next time, eh?